I came home from deployment to my pregnant wife. She said, "It's not yours. I'm leaving you for him." I said nothing. Then his paternity test showed it wasn't his either. She was left frantically calling me after he kicked her out, with nowhere to go. I, 32 male, got home Tuesday. 8 months in a place where the air tastes like sand and the sun tries to kill you. The whole flight back, all I could think about was the door to our apartment, opening it, dropping my bags, and holding my wife, Catherine, 30. I'd been counting the days, the hours. I pictured her face, the way she smiles with her whole body. The plans we'd made for when I got back, starting a family. Finally, I opened the door, and the first thing I noticed was the smell. Not her vanilla candle or the garlic bread she promised she'd make. It smelled like him, like that cloying, cheap cologne he wears. Adam, 35, was a friend from work. One of those guys who's a little too familiar, a little too comfortable. In your space. I never liked him, but you trust your wife, don't you? You tell yourself you're being territorial. Paranoid, he was standing in our living room, my living room. He left his muddy Adidas sneakers on the new rug we bought together right before I left. Catherine was on the couch. She stood up, and my breath caught. She was pregnant, noticeably so, 5, maybe 6 months along. My heart did this stupid soaring thing for a split second, a surprise, the best surprise. I started to smile, the exhaustion falling away. Then I saw her face. It was a mask, blank, no joy. "Samuel," she said, and her voice was flat, dead. "We need to talk." I looked from her belly to Adam's smug, proprietary expression, and I knew the math didn't add up. But the picture was crystal clear. "It's not yours," she said. No preamble, no tears. Just a statement of fact. "It's Adam's. I'm leaving you. I'm going with him." I said nothing. My mind didn't go to rage. It didn't go to heartbreak. Not yet. It went quiet. It became a camera, just recording details. The packed suitcases by the door, not mine, hers. The way Adam put his hand on the small of her back, a gesture he had no right to. The fact that she was wearing the expensive maternity top I'd ordered for her online 2 months ago for when we get started gift. The irony was so thick, I could taste it. "Did you hear me?" she asked, a flicker of annoyance in her tone. "I'm leaving." "I heard you," I said. My voice was steady. It surprised, even me. Adam puffed out his chest. "Look, man, these things happen. We didn't mean to hurt you." I looked at him, really looked at him, the architect of this little drama. The man who wore his knockoff watch like it was a Rolex and stood in my home, telling me he didn't mean to hurt me. I felt nothing for him. He was a piece of the puzzle, not the puzzle itself. "I need you to sign the divorce papers," Catherine said, pushing a manila envelope across the coffee table. "We want to get married before the baby comes. It's a no-fault state. It'll be quick." She'd already seen a lawyer, already had everything planned. This wasn't a confession. It was a business transaction. I was a loose end to be tied up. I didn't touch the envelope. I just nodded. I walked past them into our bedroom. My side of the closet hadn't been emptied, but it had been invaded. Her clothes, new maternity blouses and dresses I'd never seen, were crammed in, crushing my uniforms against the wall. On the dresser, my watch and cologne had been shoved into a corner to make room for a bottle of prenatal vitamins and Adam's deodorant. She hadn't erased me. She had just written over me, carelessly and completely. I turned back around. They were watching me from the doorway. "Elise is in my name," I said. "So is the electric, the internet. You'll need to be out by the end of the month." Catherine scoffed. "You're kicking me out? I'm pregnant." "You just told me you're leaving me for him," I replied, gesturing with my chin toward Adam. "I assume you'll be leaving to go somewhere? That somewhere just can't be here." Adam stepped forward. "Hey man, that's not cool. We need time to find a place." "You had 8 months to plan this," I said, my voice still eerily calm. "You should have planned better." I felt a tremor in my hands, then the first sign of the shock wearing off. I clenched them into fists in my pockets. I needed them gone. Before the quiet broke, before the camera turned off and the feelings crashed in. "Get your things," I said, looking only at Catherine, "and go." She stared at me, her mouth open like she couldn't believe I wasn't screaming, crying, begging. She was expecting a scene, a fight, something to validate her decision to paint me as the unstable one she had to escape. I wasn't going to give it. To her, she finally snapped her mouth shut, grabbed her purse, and they started hauling their things out. I just stood in the middle of the room and watched. The last thing to go was Adam's muddy sneakers. The door clicked shut. Silence. I walked over to the window and watched their car pull away. Then I walked to the half-finished nursery, the pale yellow walls, the flat-pack crib still in its box. I'd been so excited to put that together with her. I sank to the floor, leaned my head against the wall, and just breathed. It wasn't a sob. It wasn't a scream. It was just this deep, hollow ache. The betrayal wasn't the loudest part. The loudest part was the disrespect, the meticulous planning, the expectation that I would just fold. They think this is over a clean break. They think I'm the victim. They're right about the last part. I am the victim. But victims get a say to not with hysterics, but with strategy. She wanted a quick, no-fault divorce. She's going to get one, but she's also going to get every single thing she deserves. They both are. Update: it's been a strange 2 weeks. The quiet in the apartment is a physical presence. I've methodically dismantled our life together. It's like cleaning up a crime. Seeing my crime scene. The first thing I did the day after they left was see a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, the sharpest, most ruthless family law attorney in the city. A shark. I laid out the facts calmly and clearly. He was impressed by my lack of emotion. I told him, the emotion is a luxury I can't afford right now. To secure my assets. Actionable steps were taken immediately. Finances Our joint savings account had a little over $22,000 in it. My lawyer advised me to withdraw exactly half, not a penny more. I transferred $11,000 into a new personal account. Next, I logged into our joint credit card account, for which I am the primary holder, and reported the physical card as compromised. This small, decisive keystroke would instantly deactivate it for any user and ensure the replacement card was mailed only to my address. It was a clean way to sever a financial artery. I also changed all my passwords: Spotify, Netflix, Amazon. Everything. Petty, maybe, but it's about drawing lines. My life is no longer funding theirs. The apartment time emailed the property management company. I informed them that my wife had vacated the premises and that I, the primary leaseholder, would be the sole resident until the lease expires in 2 months. I gave my official notice that I would not be renewing. I made a special point to request that the full $2,850 security deposit be returned only to me at my forwarding address, which I don't have yet, but will. The divorce papers: I had my lawyer review the papers Catherine had shoved at me. They were a DIY disaster, clearly downloaded and filled out to benefit her completely. My lawyer redrafted them ironclad. A simple, clean dissolution of the marriage. No spousal support, she works, and the affair nullified any claim anyway. And a clear division of assets based on what we came into the marriage with. Everything I owned before her, I kept. Everything she owned, she kept. Marital property was to be split 50-50th sand. That includes debt. The first phone call came 3 days after they left. It was Catherine. My card was declined at motherhood maternity, she said, her voice tight with anger. "What did you do?" "The card was compromised, Catherine," I said, inspecting a scuff mark on the wall. "A new one is on the way to me. Divorcing, we can't share a line of credit. I needed that. We have things to buy for the baby. You can't just cut me off. That money is ours. Half of it is mine." I corrected her gently, "and my half is no longer available to you. You have a new partner. His name is Adam. I assume he'll be contributing. Adam is already paying for our new apartment's deposit. He can't pay for everything. I can't believe you're being so cruel." I stayed silent. She was mistaking my silence for weakness. It was actually me biting my tongue so I wouldn't say what I was really thinking. Then came the texts from Adam. At first, they were attempts at being the bigger man. "Adam, hey man, get what you're going through, but you need to support Catherine. She's carrying my child." I didn't reply. 2 days later, another one. "Seriously, ignoring me won't help. We need to be adults. You need to help us out." This time I replied, "My lawyer has advised me to communicate only through him regarding financial matters. Have a good day." The masterstroke, however, was social. I didn't need to sling mud. I just had to let their own actions see the light of day. Adam has a sister, Samantha, whom I've always liked. She's a no-nonsense nurse. She sent me a text, asking if I was okay, that she'd heard a wild story from Adam. I called her. I was nothing but heartbroken and confused. "I just don't get it, Samantha," I said, letting the genuine pain seep into my voice for the first time. "Catherine told me the affair started 4 months ago, but her due date, it doesn't quite line up with that. It's off by about 6 weeks. It's probably just my head spinning, you know? The math is fuzzy." I didn't accuse, I didn't suggest anything. I just planted a seed of doubt. Simple, logical inconsistency. I knew Samantha. She's a nurse. She understands timelines and biology. She loves her brother, but she hates being played for a fool. I knew she'd start asking Adam some hard questions, the kind of questions he wouldn't be prepared for. Yesterday, got a frantic, rambling email from Catherine. She's furious that I won't let her come back to the apartment to get the rest of her things without me being present. She claims I'm holding her sentimental items hostage. She's talking about the blender and the good towels. I replied with a list of available time slots and told her I would have a neutral third party present to mediate. They thought I would shatter. They expected me to be a recant I am, but only on the inside. On the outside, I am a checklist. I am a series of calm, quiet, legally sound decisions. The real bomb hasn't even dropped yet. The one I didn't have to build. The one they built all by themselves and handed to me. I have a feeling Samantha's fuzzy math question is about to come to a very clear, very dramatic conclusion. And I'll be here in my quiet apartment, waiting. Update: it happened on a Friday night. I was eating pizza out of the box and watching a movie, the first time I'd felt something close to peace in a month. My phone buzzed. It was a number I didn't recognize, but it was local. Curiosity got the better of me. "Hello, you knew." The voice was a rort. Was Adam unhinged? Spittle-flying rage pouring through the speaker. "You knew the whole time and you let me walk right into it. You son of a ree." I held the phone away from my ear, waiting for him to run out of air. "Adam, I have no idea what you're talking about," I said, my voice as placid as a lake. "Don't play dumb with me," he screamed. The paternity test. My sister, she kept pushing, asking questions about the dates, wouldn't let it go. So I got a test done, a legal one. "I got the results today, Samuel. It's not mine. The baby isn't mine." I said nothing. I just listened to the sound of his world collapsing. It was not a pleasant sound, but it was a just one. "Who is it?" he demanded, his voice cracking. "Do you know? What the hell has she been sleeping with?" Sounds like a conversation you should be having with Catherine, Adam, I said softly. This has nothing to do with me. I'm sorry you're going through this. And I hung up. My heart was hammering, not with joy, not with triumph. It was the grim satisfaction of a chemical reaction completing its course. I had introduced a catalyst, a simple logical question, and the whole unstable compound had just detonated. The calls from Catherine started about an hour later. I ignored the first 5. On the 6th, I answered and put it on speaker. He kicked me out, she said, her voice choked with hysterical sobs. He threw my bags onto the lawn, Samuel. He called me every name in the book. He left me on the curb. I'm pregnant, and I have nowhere to go. Listened. I pictured her standing on a sidewalk next to a pile of luggage. The consequences of her choices finally catching up to her in a way she couldn't lie or manipulate her way out of. You need to come and get me, she demanded through her tears. It's your fault. All of this is your fault. My fault? I asked, genuinely curious to hear the logic. You turned Adam against me. You planted ideas in his sister's head. You were so cold, so unfeeling. If you had fought for me, if you had shown you loved me, I never would have been in this position. I would have felt safe. The sheer, breathtaking audacity of it almost made me laugh. It was a masterpiece of blame shifting. So, to be clear, I said, my voice dangerously quiet, you cheated on me. Got pregnant by a man who is apparently not Adam, lied to both of us, and planned to leave me. But this is my fault because I didn't react to your betrayal in the way you wanted me to. She started sobbing harder. I have nowhere to go. My parents are in another state. You have to help me. I'm carrying a child. Oh. This was the moment. The one where the old Samuel might have cracked. The one where pity could have been mistaken for love. But I just felt tired. I looked around my clean, quiet apartment. My space, my peace. That's not my child, Catherine, I said, and the words were like steel. You made that very clear, and this is not my problem. You set this course, you and Adam, and now you've hit a storm. You'll have to find your own harbor. Hey you, she whispered. I know, I said. I'm filing the finalized divorce papers on Monday. My lawyer will be in touch with yours, assuming you have one. Do not contact me again. I ended the call. 4. About a minute, I just sat there. The ghost of our marriage, of the woman I loved, was in the room with me. I felt the loss. I let myself feel it, the sadness for the man I was, the one who believed in her. But that man was gone. He'd been burned away. And what was left was someone who understood that sometimes the only way to save yourself is to let the fire consume everything else. I blocked her number. I blocked Adam's. I'd finished my pizza. The next morning, I got an email from the property manager, a follow-up to my notice. They confirmed the move-out date and reiterated that the security deposit check for $2,850 would be mailed exclusively to my nether loose end, neatly tied. Final update's been almost a year since I came home from deployment. The divorce was finalized 6 months ago. It was as clean as my lawyer promised. Catherine, having no real legal leg to stand on, had to sign. She tried to fight for spousal support, but the evidence of infidelity and her own gainful employment made that a non-starter. I don't live in that city anymore. I took a promotion that required relocation. New city, new apartment, new life. The only things I took from the old apartment were my books, my clothes, and the security deposit check. They sent back $2,675. The letter stated they docked me for scuff marks on the wall and a deep cleaning fee for ground-in dirt on the hardwood entry, which felt like poetry. I have a small balcony now. I'm growing tomatoes. It's surprisingly fulfilling. I hear things. Of course, the world is small. Catherine ended up moving back in with her parents. Oh, she had the baby, a little girl. Through a mutual acquaintance who can't help but gossip, I heard the biological father was another coworker, a guy she'd had a brief drunken fling with a week before she started things with Adam. He's married. He denied everything, refused a paternity test, and threatened legal action if she contacted him again. His wife apparently believes him, so Catherine is on her own. Raising a child with no support from any of the men in her life, her parents are reportedly not thrilled. Their daughter, the one they were so proud of, was now a single mother, living in her childhood bedroom, her grand plans in ashes. There's no justice in that. Not really, just a deep, profound sadness. A life ruined by a series of selfish choices. Adam, from what I've heard, is a mess. His reputation at their old workplace took a massive hit. The story got out, the real story, and he came off looking like a fool and a homewrecker. He quit his job a few months ago. The last I heard, he was dating again but is intensely paranoid, demanding absolute transparency from his partners. The experience seems to have broken something in him. I received one final communication from Catherine about a month after the divorce was final. It was an email with the subject line, "I hope you're happy." It was a long, rambling tirade. Detailed all of her struggles, blamed me for my cold and calculated revenge, and accused me of destroying her life just when she was on the verge of happiness. She said I could have saved her, but I chose to watch her burn instead. I read the whole thing. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel satisfaction. I just felt distance. She still saw me as a main character in her story, the villain. But the truth is, I'm not in her story at all anymore. I'm a prologue she wrote herself out of. I'm a supporting character in my own life right now. And the protagonist is the man I'm trying to become. He's a guy who goes to the gym, who is reconnecting with Cortex, with his family, who is learning to trust his own instincts. He's a man who understands that true justice isn't about revenge. It's about methodical, deliberate survival. It's about weathering the storms someone else creates and then sailing away, leaving them to the wreckage of their own making. I archived her email without replying. I watered my tomatoes, and I didn't look back.